Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today I have my first episode of my D&D Story recap series. Now today I'm going to be covering what happened when my group played the one-shot that D&D made called A Dragon's Test. Now a one-shot is a story that's made by D&D, or the DM in some cases, that is meant to be one session. So a one-session story. And this story that I'm about to tell you guys was designed to be a one-session story, but eventually my DM managed to flesh it out into a full-fledged story. And we're on about the 6th session right now, so we're pretty far in. So I'm going to be covering the story as it goes on. There might be some breaks due to us not doing it for a while, but I'll do something in the meantime when that does happen. So, episode 1 is the Dragon's Test as it should have been. So this is the one-shot, so if you want to play this for yourself, you can probably find it on the D&D website, D&D Beyond, which I have in the description once again. So, this is what happened when my group played A Dragon's Test. We started with our 5 characters dropped into a room that was just lit up. With no one else knowing each other, you see Lorcas, Xander, Vidania, yours truly, Varnin and Cake of Chocolates meet each other for the first time. Ahead of them is a doorway leading to a dark corridor. On the walls, there's nothing much, with just some draconic marks, which is the language of the Dragonborns, and dragons as a whole. You see that a lot in this story. Xander leads the pack through the corridor, and they come upon a new room. Lorcas starts to push against the doors and fails to open them. Whoops. Soon, Xander and the others spot that on the floor it reads to go one way, and we must all go that way. So eventually the party realises and pushes against all the doors at once to unlock them. Which works! Like, we just all pushed on a door each, and they opened. So, and then we were faced with a choice. We decided to go straight ahead, and as we passed through trap triggers, and I took some damage. Yep, that happens a lot as well. We enter a new room with no exit. Uh-oh. Soon the walls start to close in on us. Yay, I remember this part. We were starting to get crushed as we pushed against the wall, and we managed to slow down the progression of the walls, turning us into paste, with almost all of us succeeding and in holding it back. But sadly, Xander was unable to get the wall to stop. One character then realises that the force against them is the same as they apply, so one by one we all stopped applying pressure till only one member is still trying. Eventually we managed to convince them to finally stop applying pressure. At that point the walls receded, and then we saw a opening to a new room. We then came to a room with many draconic letters on the floor. Across the room is a pedestal with a button on it. Cake takes a step to the letters and immediately gets shot by arrows. Oops. Vidania then notices on the wall says this riddle: I shine in light, but do not give it. My colours are as varied as the rainbow is. I am rare, but my cousins are not. I do not live, but I can grow. Xander immediately gets an idea for this and begins to spell out words on the ground, starting with amethyst and with the plan to spell out each gemstone dragon type, or dragonborn type, which I am one of, specifically amethyst. During this time, the rest of the group try to ponder what this could be. Eventually, Vidania pipes up, I've got it, and spells out the gemstones using the tiles. Once Vidania finishes, the remaining letters descend into the floor, and they're able to walk over and press a button on the other side. Woohoo! They retrace their steps to the second room they entered, and took the left path this time. In this room, they come across 2 brass dragon wormlings, as well as a winged kobold. That was a fun fight. After a close-fought fight, they come out victorious and discover a small brass dragon idol, which was pretty cool, if I may say so myself. They then enter the next room along and find nothing. Just a wall at the other end. They try everything. Eventually, Xander puts the back of his hand against the wall and notices that it begins to give way. He then proceeds to lean back against the wall to the others, and he turns as still as anything, but for him, he falls into a new room, while still seeing the others on the other side. Immediately, the party gets concerned. They try touching him and moving him, but he appears to be locked in place. Lorcas then tries leaning back, and the exact same thing happens. We all began to freak out at this point pretty badly. On the other side, Xander and Lorcas begin to get bored and look around the room. Over time, one by one, the characters decide to do this, and slowly find themselves on the other side. But Cake of Chocolate, she grapples with fear of everyone dying, or is this some sort of magical illusion? Eventually, she follows suit. The illusion fails, and all the characters are on the other side and see the new doorway. That was a fun section, to say the least. They walk through and find a spiked pit with a narrow ledge on the other side, with a narrow ledge on either side, and they try to get across. First up is Xander, who proceeded to fall into the pit, which hurt him quite a bit. Soon follows Lorcas, and then I remembered that I can sometimes fly, so I flew across and then pressed the second button. Because of my Dragonborn ability, I can actually fly for a minute, which is pretty nifty sometimes. We then retreated back, and on the way find a red dragon wormling, so of course we attempted to capture it and make it a pet. During this, the brass dragon idol is stolen and lost. Then we went into a room full of goblins, we killed them a couple of times, each time they disappeared, and we got thrown out of the room. And then we tried it a third time, and then finally realised, because there was a riddle on the wall, which said, when thank you was a virtue. We just downed them. They thanked us for that, and then we were able to go on to the next room. Well, a new door appears and opens. They then enter a room with a drunk gnome. This was fun. Who, to some of them, becomes the thing that haunts their dreams. We tried to attack the gnome, but whatever damage we dealt to the gnome, it actually came back to us. And then we thought, okay, let's aggravate the gnome and get him to attack us. It worked. The gnome attacked one of us, and the gnome went down. So that was fun. Then we were granted passage to a stairway, and then when we descended, we discovered a maze. We spent a while in the maze, discovering the odd treasure and fighting the odd enemy. All the while, the walls is all about dragons and the like. Eventually, we reached a hole in the ground. Upon entering, we are shunted down into a throne room-like area, at which point we discover a dragon prince, who myself and Varnin thought was the best thing in the universe, and fell under his spell and started fighting for him against the rest of the party. Varnin broke free of this spell pretty quick, whereas I broke free of it eventually and immediately collapsed. Upon getting back up, I fell under his spell again. Then we fought him, I fought the rest of the party won, thankfully, and then, well, I don't even know if I managed to break free eventually of the spell in the next session, but that's for the next session. So, but the Dragon Prince, before going down, revealed his final form, which appeared to be a chromatic dragon, and then we defeated him, and then I broke free of his spell eventually. With Cake of Chocolate and Varnin going down, we managed to take out the Dragon Prince, then took some time to look around the room, spotting unusual murals and the like on the wall, before eventually discovering a button which opened up a path to the surface. Ooh! And then we saw a man in a emerald green suit. Then he turned to us and said, "Finally, now let me explain to you how you can save the world." And that was a Dragon's Test, the first session of this story, which I will cover again next week. And this was an extremely good session. Definitely would recommend it if you're going to get into D&D and want a one-shot to start off, because it's very interesting, and it actually has Dungeons and Dragons. So, definite win there. Anyway, that'll do it for this video, guys. So as always, people, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to mine and Roxanne's and Frost's YouTube channels. Just want to thank my DM once again for this fabulous write-up of the story. Once you've subscribed to our 3 channels, don't forget to click all 3 of our bell icons to get all 3 sets of our notifications. Oh, by the way, my sub button is the one down there. Yep, that big red one, unless you've already subbed. Then it's grey. Thanks for that, by the way. And when you've subbed and clicked our bell icons, don't forget to comment as well, because why not? And let me know what you thought of this session, and if you're liking this format of video. When you've done that too, don't forget to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Stereo, and TikTok. I'll be going live on Stereo again this Sunday for the first race after the summer break of Formula 1. When you've done that too, don't forget to follow Roxanne on her blog and Frost on his Instagram. My links are in the description. Their links are below the link tree, which my links are in, by the way. And lastly, of course, don't forget to share this video with all of your friends so they can join the infinite loop of liking, subscribing, commenting, following, and sharing, and around and around and around that loop. And I'll see you guys tomorrow with another video. Goodbye!